Have you ever looked around a room and felt like everyone else had somewhere to be, someone to talk to, something to do, but you didn't? It's a strange thing, isn't it? To have lived 8 decades, to have raised families, built careers, loved, lost, and survived more than most, only to find yourself sitting in silence, wondering if anyone remembers you're still here. Not in a dramatic way, but in that quiet, persistent way that loneliness creeps into your life without asking permission. If that feeling rings true, you're not alone. And I mean that literally. See, we don't talk about this enough. The truth is, real life after 80 isn't always golden sunsets and peaceful afternoons with a cup of tea. Sometimes, it's long days with no calls, weeks without a visitor, and an aching sense that the world you knew has moved on without you. And while it may be tempting to brush it off as just part of getting older, loneliness isn't something to ignore. It's real, it's powerful, and if we're not careful, it can take over our lives in ways we never expected. But here's the thing, understanding it, facing it head-on, and talking about it, that's where the strength is. That's where change begins. In this video, we're going to talk about 5 hard truths. Not to scare you, but to empower you. Because when you can see something clearly, you can do something about it. And aging, yes, even after 80, doesn't mean giving up. It means adapting. It means living with intention. It means finding new ways to connect, contribute, and feel truly alive. Let's begin with the first reality that hits many seniors the hardest, and the one most people are too afraid to say out loud. Friendships fade faster than you think. Now, maybe you had a strong circle of friends once. Maybe there were bridge nights, church gatherings, family dinners every weekend. But as the years roll on, those circles shrink. Friends pass away. Loved ones move to other states. Kids get busy. Some relationships just naturally drift. You wake up one day and realize the phone hasn't rung in weeks, and your social calendar is emptier than it's ever been. And that's painful. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because we were never taught how to maintain friendships after a certain age. When you're young, connections come easily, at work, at school, through your children. But no one tells you how to rebuild your social life in your 80s. No one gives you a handbook on how to make new friends when it feels like most people your age have either settled into their routines or are no longer here. But the brutal truth is this. If you don't make the effort to reconnect or build new relationships, loneliness will sneak in and settle deep. It won't just stay in your living room, it'll seep into your thoughts, your sleep, even your physical health. So what can you do? Start small. Say hello to the neighbor you always see walking their dog. Call someone you haven't spoken to in months. Join a local group, even if it's just once a week. Volunteer at the library or community center. Don't wait for people to come to you, because the harsh truth is, many won't. But that doesn't mean they wouldn't welcome you if you reached out. Sometimes, people are just waiting for someone else to make the first move. And speaking of people moving on, here's the second reality that stings. Family isn't always as available as you hoped they'd be. You probably imagined your golden years surrounded by your children, maybe even grandkids coming around every Sunday. But the truth is, lives get busy. People relocate for jobs. Kids grow up, start families of their own. And while you might still get the occasional phone call or birthday card, it's not the same as regular visits, laughter in the kitchen, or the comforting chaos of family life. It's easy to feel forgotten. It's even easier to feel resentful. But that resentment, if you let it grow, only builds more walls between you and the people you love. They may not be ignoring you on purpose. Most of the time, it's not that they don't care, it's that they assume you're doing fine. Or they simply don't realize how much silence fills your days. Instead of waiting for them to guess what you need, try telling them. Call and say, "I miss you. I'd love to see you more. When can we have lunch?" Don't be afraid to speak your needs clearly and without guilt. People aren't mind readers, and your honesty could be the very thing that brings your family closer. And while we're being honest, here's something else we have to acknowledge. Sometimes, even when people are around, loneliness doesn't go away. That's because loneliness isn't just about being alone, it's about not feeling seen. Not feeling valued. Not feeling like you matter anymore. And that's a dangerous mindset. Because the more you believe you're no longer needed, the more you pull away. The more you shrink your world. And the smaller your world becomes, the harder it is to find joy in the everyday moments. But let me remind you of something. You do matter. Your life experience, your wisdom, your presence, it all holds value. Even if society doesn't always make you feel that way. You have stories that deserve to be told, laughter that still lights up a room, hands that have built a life worth remembering. You just need to find the spaces and the people that remind you of that. Now that we've talked about the fading of friendships and the distance that can grow within families, let's move on to another hard truth that often catches people off guard. The brutal reality that time alone doesn't always mean peace. It can mean isolation, especially when your days start to blur together. There's a difference between enjoying solitude and feeling trapped by it. Maybe once you relished the quiet, early mornings with a cup of coffee, afternoons tending to a garden, evenings reading a favorite book. But now the silence feels heavier. The hours stretch longer. And without someone to talk to, without meaningful interaction, even the things you used to love can start to lose their joy. It creeps in slowly. You start turning the TV on, not to watch something, but just to hear voices. You check your phone a little too often, hoping for a message that doesn't come. Meals feel like chores instead of something to enjoy. Days start to blend, and sometimes you forget what day it even is. That's not laziness. That's not aging. That's loneliness. And it's more common than you think. Isolation doesn't always happen because people walk away. It often happens when routines shrink. Maybe you stop driving. Maybe you had a fall and got nervous about going out. Maybe your community changed. Neighbors moved, stores closed, or you just don't recognize the faces anymore. And gradually, the outside world starts to feel distant, like something happening far away instead of something you're still part of. But here's the truth most people won't tell you. Isolation is dangerous. Not just emotionally, it can affect your health. Studies have shown that chronic loneliness can lead to increased risk of heart disease, cognitive decline, even a weakened immune system. It doesn't just hurt your feelings, it hurts your body. That's why you can't afford to ignore it. So what do you do when the world feels far away? You take one step toward it. Just one. That might mean calling your doctor to ask about local senior programs. It might mean asking a neighbor for a ride to the community center, even if it feels awkward. It might mean getting on a video call with your grandkids, even if you feel a little silly. And yes, maybe it means learning something new, like how to use a smartphone, how to join an online class, or even how to navigate a Facebook group for people your age. It doesn't matter what the step is. What matters is that you take it. Because life doesn't stop after 80 unless you stop reaching for it. And here's another truth that might be hard to hear. People won't always understand what you're going through. Your friends may not talk about loneliness because they're embarrassed. Your family might not ask the right questions. Society tends to treat aging like a quiet exit, as if you're supposed to step aside, be grateful, and stay quiet. But I'm here to tell you, you have every right to speak up. You have every right to say, "This is hard," or "I need more connection," or even just, "I'm lonely." Because when you name it, you can face it. And when you face it, you can begin to change it. Now, let's talk about something that doesn't get nearly enough attention, and that's how your identity can start to feel like it's slipping away. Think about it. For most of your life, you were someone. A parent, a spouse, a worker, a neighbor. You had routines, responsibilities, and people who needed you. But as the years pass and roles change, or disappear entirely, you might start asking yourself, who am I now? That question can haunt you if you let it. Because without those roles to anchor you, it's easy to feel like you've lost your purpose. And when purpose fades, so does your motivation to keep going. But listen closely, because this is important. You don't lose your worth just because your role changes. Purpose isn't something only the young get to have. It's something you create again and again, no matter your age. Maybe you're not raising kids anymore, but what if your story could help guide someone who is? Maybe you're not working a job anymore, but what if your skills could still help someone in your community? Maybe your body moves slower, but your mind still holds decades of wisdom, and there's someone out there who needs to hear it. You might not be the same version of yourself you once were, but that doesn't mean you're less. It means you're different. And that difference is still valuable. So instead of asking, who am I now, try asking, who can I be today? A mentor, a neighbor, a storyteller, a volunteer, a friend, even just a voice of encouragement for someone else feeling what you're feeling. Purpose doesn't need to be loud or grand. Sometimes it's as simple as planting something that will bloom next spring, or writing down your life stories so your grandchildren can one day read them, or calling someone just to say, I was thinking of you. These things may seem small, but they are mighty, because purpose gives you direction. It gives you something to wake up for. And that spark, however tiny, is what keeps life feeling meaningful. And now, having walked through the realities of fading friendships, distant families, creeping isolation, and the loss of identity, let's move toward something deeper still, something that sits at the heart of aging loneliness. The feeling that you've been left behind by a world that just keeps moving. You ever feel like everything around you is speeding up while you're trying to hold on to the little bit of calm you've found? Like technology's changing faster than you can keep up, people talk more through screens than face to face, and even the way neighborhoods feel, busy, distant, unfamiliar, it's like the world forgot how to slow down and look someone in the eye. And when that happens, you start to wonder, do I still belong here? That's the fourth brutal reality of aging loneliness, feeling invisible in a world that once made you feel needed. You might walk into a store and no one says hello. Or you try to speak in a group and get talked over. Maybe your doctor rushes through your appointment, or you notice fewer people really listen when you share something from the heart. And that hurts. Because no one wants to feel like background noise in their own life. But here's the truth. Just because the world moves fast, doesn't mean you have to disappear. Being older doesn't mean being irrelevant. In fact, your life, your very presence, is a reminder of resilience, of survival, of stories this younger generation could learn from if they'd only slow down enough to listen. So don't fade quietly. Speak up. Stay curious. Stay involved. If there's a book club, show up. If there's a town meeting, raise your hand. If there's a community center, walk through that door like you belong. Because you do. Every single one of us deserves to feel seen, no matter our age. But sometimes, we have to remind the world that we're still here by showing up for ourselves first. And if showing up feels hard, that's okay. Start small. Talk to the cashier. Compliment someone on their smile. Ask a neighbor how their day's going. Human connection doesn't always come in grand gestures. It lives in those little moments that remind us we're part of something bigger. Now, let's not sugarcoat things. All of this takes effort. Real effort. And at 80 or beyond, it's okay to admit that effort feels heavier than it used to. Your body doesn't move like it once did. Your energy comes and goes. And some days, the idea of pushing through all these emotional hurdles, just to feel a little less lonely, might feel like too much. Which brings us to the fifth and final truth. One that's rarely spoken, but quietly understood by so many seniors. There's grief in aging that no one prepares you for. Not just the grief of losing loved ones, though that pain runs deep, but the grief of losing parts of yourself. Your independence, your routines, your sharp memory, your sense of place in the world. It's like a slow letting go, piece by piece. And while people might say, you're lucky to have made it this far, it doesn't always feel like luck. Sometimes it feels like navigating a new life with a roadmap written for someone else. Grief can make loneliness even sharper. Because while people gather for funerals or send flowers, or offer a kind word when you lose a spouse or a close friend, very few recognize the quiet grief that comes with waking up in a house that used to feel full. Or trying to remember what day it is because all your appointments are gone. Or looking at a wedding photo, a birthday card, a pair of shoes no one wears anymore, and feeling a weight in your chest that won't go away. That grief deserves space. It deserves acknowledgement. You don't have to put on a brave face every day. You're allowed to feel it. You're allowed to say, this is hard, and still hold hope in your heart. Because grief and hope can live side by side. They do, for so many. And even in the face of loss, of loneliness, of fading connections, you still have the power to shape your days. You can still create moments of joy, even small ones. A warm bath, a handwritten letter, a favorite movie, a walk in the sun, calling an old friend even if it's just to say, I miss you. Loneliness after 80 is real. It's heavy. And it won't always vanish with a single conversation or a new routine. But you are not powerless in the face of it. You are not forgotten. You are not too late to rediscover what it means to feel connected, valued, and alive. So here's what I want you to take with you, even if you remember nothing else from this video. Your presence still matters. Your voice still matters. And the best thing you can do, today, tomorrow, and every day forward, is to choose connection, even when it feels hard. Especially when it feels hard. You don't have to do it all at once. Just one honest conversation. One walk with a neighbor. One morning where you decide not to give up. That's where change begins. Because while the world may be noisy and fast and unfamiliar, there is still a place in it for you. A place that only you can fill. And if you don't feel like you have anyone, then it's time to go find someone. That might sound scary, but here's the secret. You're not the only one. There are others, dozens, hundreds, thousands, who feel just like you do. You just haven't crossed paths yet, but you can. Look into local senior groups. Libraries, community centers, walking clubs, volunteer programs. These aren't just places to pass time. They're opportunities to find your people. People who laugh at the same old jokes. People who remember the world before smartphones. People who understand, deep down, what it's like to stand in your shoes. And yes, even if your body isn't what it used to be, even if you need help getting around, even if your memory has started to play tricks on you, there is still space for you in this world. You're not a burden. You're not a leftover. You're a living, breathing, valuable part of the human story. So let me ask you something heart to heart. When's the last time you did something just for you? Not out of duty, not out of habit, but out of joy? Even a small thing. A favorite meal. A walk outside. Music from your youth that still moves you. A letter to someone you miss. A journal entry, even if no one reads it but you. These things matter. They feed your soul. And when you begin to do more of them, bit by bit, you begin to remember that loneliness, while real, isn't a permanent prison. It's a season. One that can pass. One that will pass if you keep choosing connection over retreat. And when it feels hard, and yes, it will, remember this. You are not alone in your loneliness. You are part of a silent crowd, all longing to be seen, heard, and understood. And when one person reaches out, another feels safe enough to do the same. That ripple matters more than you know. So please, if today has stirred something in you, if it's opened your heart even a little, don't let it go to waste. Take that feeling and turn it into action. Call someone. Write something. Open a door you've been afraid to knock on. Share your truth. Let the world know you're still here, and still full of life. And if this message touched you, let it be the start of something new. Leave a comment below. Tell us what you're feeling, what you're facing, what helps you get through the lonely days. You're not just watching this video, you're part of a community now. A place where being 80 doesn't mean being forgotten. It means being honored. Like this video if it helped. Share it with someone who might need it. And if you want more content that speaks to your journey, subscribe. We're here for you, not just with words, but with heart. Because your story isn't finished. Not even close. Here's to your courage. Your wisdom. Your voice. Here's to living fully, even after 80.